Hey, welcome to Mineral Talks Live, the weekly live webinar that brings you in-depth and in-person interviews with the mineral people from around the world. Mineral Talks Live is brought to you by a joint effort among the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, and BlueCap Productions. Tune in every Wednesday and stay connected to your mineral world. Now, broadcasting live from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, the land of aloha, ukuleles, and shakas, this is Mineral Talks Live. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mineral Talks Live. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brian Swoboda of BlueCap Productions, and we got a great show for you. For those of you who are tuning into our program for the first time, Mineral Talks Live is a weekly webinar put on by myself representing BlueCap Productions, Dr. Raquel Alonso Perez representing the Mineralogical and Geological Museum at Harvard University, and Dr. Eloise Gaillou representing the Society of Mineral Museum Professionals, also known as the SMMP. Now, this program came about as a result of conversation Raquel, Eloise, and I had when we were talking about COVID-19. We were talking about the effects it was having on our community, and we knew that many of us were feeling a deep sense of isolation, especially in light of some of the mineral shows being canceled. We felt that we needed to do something about it. We thought that by working together, we could generate some interest in a series of broadcasts featuring mineral people just talking and sharing stories. Raquel and Eloise had the idea of a live show, and it didn't take them long to convince me, and that's when we came up with the name Mineral Talks Live. And speaking of names, it's come to my attention that there might be a bit of confusion when it comes to the name of our show. We are Mineral Talks Live, and some people may have gotten that confused by another online show called Minerals Live that's been put on for many years by our good friends over at the Collector's Edge. We know the two shows sound similar, but they are in fact two separate shows. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the show that Collector's Edge puts on, and I've actually been on Minerals Live a couple times in the past few years. So we offer our most sincere apologies to the Collector's Edge for any confusion, and we even urge our own audience to check out Minerals Live if they get a chance. We're going to have Collector's Edge folks here on our show soon, so keep your eyes peeled for an upcoming announcement on that. So now, back to our show, Mineral Talks Live. As we were coming up with the idea for our show, Raquel, Eloise, and I felt that by combining our efforts and contacts, we'd be able to present a show with a true international feel, just like our beloved mineral shows. And with me broadcasting from Honolulu, Hawaii, Raquel broadcasting from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Eloise from Paris, France, our international guest list would reflect our own backgrounds. Our guests on our show will include people from all walks of the mineral community and even some of the related worlds like lapidary, jewelry, and gemstones. Throughout the programs, I'll be the face of the show conducting the interviews while Raquel and Eloise will be the geniuses behind the scenes doing the real serious work that really makes the show possible. And you as a viewer, you're an important part of the show too. To that end, we invite you to be a part of the show and to participate via the chat and Q&A windows located at the bottom of your screen. The chat feature allows you to type messages to everyone watching and participating in the show. If you do nothing else, at least say hi to everyone when you sign in and tell us where you're from. Now, during the show, our guests and I will be focused on our conversation and not really looking at the chat windows. However, both Raquel and Eloise will be very active in those chats, so look for their comments along with everyone else's. At times, either Raquel or Eloise may interject during the interviews with questions that you're asking, so there's certainly an interactive element to these programs. So again, we urge you to become involved and to participate in the show. The Q&A function allows you to get involved by submitting general questions that we'll try to answer at the end of the interview. Finally, at about 40 minutes into the program, you may see a window pop up on your screen asking a bunch of questions for our weekly poll. This is just a bit of fun where you can try to predict how our guest is going to answer these 10 questions I'll ask at the end of the show. It's a bit of fun, and you'll get to know our guests just a little bit better. At the end of this, we usually have some kind of prize that we like to give away to all viewers, so please stay tuned until the very end if you can. Again, thank you for joining us, and now I'd like to introduce our guest of the day, Mr. Ryan Roney from the Tellus Science Museum in Cartersville, Georgia, less than an hour outside of Atlanta. Hey, Ryan, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Brian. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
I'm in a public space, so I have to have my mask on. It's our policy here at the museum. You'll get to see my mug when we get back into collections. But for the most part, I'm going to be showing you guys some minerals and the museum. So it's not important whether I have my mask on.
Well, fantastic. Before we get into the minerals and stuff, tell me a little bit about that fantastic painting behind you.
Oh, this is an artist from the Atlanta area, Penley, and this painting showcases a lot of the material that you see at Telus. So all the various things in the exhibit and around the museum are all included on this painting. It's just one of the two paintings by this artist that we have in our Great Hall. Another one features one of the astronauts on the lunar on the moon surface.
That's an absolutely stunning painting. I love looking at that. Ryan, I'm going to switch my view over to an aerial view of your campus there, and tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
So that's the whole campus there. Telus you see on the right, the parking lot. You can see the mining vehicles that we have for people to see. Down at front, you see the observatory, and I actually have a seismometer inside that observatory too, so I track that data. The museum itself, the small section on the right of the main building, is the old Weinman Mineral Museum that's been encased with the new facade, and that's actually our administrative offices now. And the rest of the museum is the large wedge and all the area around it.
Very cool. Okay, I'm going to zoom down, and this is the front of the museum there, and that's the main entrance, I understand?
Yes, that is our main entrance. So as you come in from the parking lot there, you can see Telus. Around that area, we've got the solar house, and we have actually have a landing pad for a helicopter, because we've actually have helicopters visit sometime. I'm in the Great Hall right now, and so you can see the entryways to the various exhibit halls out of the Great Hall. This gigantic brontosaurus here in front is a cast of a specimen that's at the University of Wyoming's Geology Museum. But we have the Science in Motion Gallery and a fossil gallery, and we're not going to go into those today. And we also have a what we call My Big Backyard, which is a children's gallery, which we've had to close down because of COVID-19. But coming in over here, we have our draw into the Weinman Mineral Gallery. And of course,
that's... Ryan, you guys started off as the Weinman Mineral Museum, and then you had a huge expansion in 2009 when it became the Tellus Science Museum. Tell us how the Weinman Mineral Museum basically exists within the Telus.
So the Weinman Mineral Museum was opened in the early 80s when the interstate was coming through here, and actually had to be diverted through Cartersville because they didn't actually complete the interstate. And so the city just decided to do a museum here, and because of the mining history here in this area, so the mining became a big part of that part here. Let me talk to you guys instead of showing the museum, because I talk about some of that stuff. So the mining was such a big part of our history here. So it was after the Thompson Weinman Company was local, so the Weinman was the local person involved in. Here, actually, I believe William Weinman's picture is over here. So I want to block him.
Quite a dapper-looking young gentleman.
So the whole mineral gallery is named after him, and the museum was named after him initially.
So now, your mineral history, is it the state? I guess the state of Georgia mineral history goes back 250 years?
Yeah, we have the actual official collection from the state, the capital collection, as well as the Georgia Geologic Survey, because that whole service was shut down in 2006. The state stopped funding a geologic survey, so we took in their rock specimens. So we have the geologic and mineralogical history of the state preserved here at Telus.
Fantastic. Now, it started, my understanding is, with Cowlin, basically clay shipments to England, and you also have Graves Mountain there in your backyard and Jackson's Crossroads. Why don't you kind of walk us through and tell us what we're looking at as we go through your mineral hall?
All right. So coming into the gallery, we saw the large geode from Brazil, But then entering into the gallery, sorry, I gotta get this camera switch.
You're poking me out.
We have probably the claim to fame for Cartersville here is a meteorite that fell the year that the museum opened. So the Cartersville meteorite, and here you can see the parts of the house that it went through and bounced up against, going through the roof and going and hitting a rafter and going through the ceiling. Only part of the house we didn't get from this meteorite hitting was the door. The person had to repair it.
Cool. So you
but
could say that the Tellus Museum's history was written in the stars.
So as you come into our mineral gallery, we have a model of the Earth here, and we thematically go through geologic concepts to teach about what minerals and rocks are, about size earthquakes, and about volcanoes. Here we have a giant float copper from Michigan. As we come around into our view of this globe that shows the continents moving. But where I want to take you all right now, here's some of our mining section. And in fact, back there looks like a periodic table because that's what it is. It's actually got little cubbies for all the different elements. And we'll come back by that in a second. But here in the gallery, we have a geographical regional themed section here. So we've got some global minerals here. This is our international minerals. One of the recent acquisitions here is the quantum blue curation. And with that one, we actually animated our first moving display in the museum, in the mineral gallery.
Those have become hugely popular over the years. That's a fabulous piece you have.
Thank you. And so here is South American minerals. I really like this really big orthoclase from Brazil. That's just, to me, is a fun piece. And over here we have our Mexican case. The specimen I want to highlight is one I recently acquired for the museum. This Las Vegas piece back there, the amethyst with the epidote. That was an exciting specimen for me to find and to get for the museum. But I also like this smoky amethyst here from Mexico with the malachite. That's a stellar specimen there.
So you guys are still actively acquiring?
Yes, we are. Both by our own purchases with the small budget we have at the museum, but also with donations from friends of the museum. The museum, in the day of the Wyman Mineral Museum, had a lot of good friends that really helped us not just have this Georgia and Southeastern-based collection, but to also have a collection that showcases international minerals and really showcases just the whole spread of mineralogy.
That's really important, and it's also nice to be able to take your minerals of Georgia and put them up against worldwide minerals and find that they pretty much hold their own.
Exactly. We have a case here now going from the global and large global regions to the U.S. regions. This is a southeastern quartz case. I'll show some of these pieces here. This case will soon be updated and be more a southeastern minerals case, but a lot of that update has been slowed down because of COVID, because it's a lot of work up close with the colleagues here as we fill in these cases and take stuff out of the cases. So,
Brian, I feel like I'm having margaritas. Would you mind going a little slower when you move?
Sorry.
Thank you.
So there's some the real mine quartz here. We got a lot of other quartzes to show here. We love these Tampa Bay corals here with the infill of the really gorgeous chalcedony and other material.
Ryan, now you've mentioned COVID-19 a few times, and we originally had you scheduled on the show for July 1st, and we had to postpone that till now because there was a bit of a COVID scare. You came down with symptoms, you tested, you isolated yourself, and that's why we couldn't have the interview, and you ended up testing negative. But I've also noticed some people wandering around the museum. So your museum is open right now.
You're open.
As you're painting the case, can you tell us a little bit about your, your policy in terms of how you're keeping visitors safe?
Certainly. This case that I'm going to scan across is various minerals from across the nation, but we just have an employee mask policy. We politely ask that visitors wear a mask. It's not mandatory in Georgia, but we do ask that people participate in those precautions. We are doing timed entry into the museum, so we're not letting more than 25 people per half hour come into the museum, which puts our daily attendance to well below half what is normal this time of year. Over here in the case is the elmwood material. People
That's
just
great.
love these large barites right here and this large calcite in the back.
Yeah.
Now, getting away from the regional stuff that I've been showing you, get to some of the localities and stuff in Georgia. That's this backdrop here. A lot of people might recognize that location. This is Graves Mountain, and this is the material that we have collected and donated and on loan from Graves Mountain. Just going to scan across some of this really gorgeous material. This iridescent hematite was photographed and included in the Georgia Minerals book. We have, and actually the hematite on some kyanite.
Anyone who's looking at my camera right now, this is actually the book that Ryan is referring to. And this was, the authors were the former curator there, Julian Gray, and Robert Cook. Yeah, so that is available. It's a great book.
It's a reference that I use often, and I think I have Julian's copy on my desk. So,
he's probably watching the show, so you might want to retract that statement.
It's mine now.
Sorry, Julian.
So here's a lot of the great stuff. I really like the lazulite out of Graves Mountain. I've gone to collect myself. See that really large piece in the back right. Wish I could zoom a little closer. The best I found are just tiny little pieces in the quartzite for myself. These large rutiles are just incredible. And I've got more I'll show in the back depending on what time we end up having. And then here's all the wonderful muscovite and ferrophilite that we have from Graves Mountain. So
for those of you who may not be familiar with Graves Mountain, it is one of the 100 United States of America locales that was featured in American Mineral Treasures. So it is absolutely a fabulous locale located within America, deemed as one of the top 100 specimen localities in our country, as is this Jackson's Crossroad.
Yeah, which I've been here now. So there's a mix of Jackson Crossroad and a few other locations, Charlie's Creek, and a few other places in Georgia. But this is all Georgia amethyst. I think the plan is to actually do an even bigger case than this.
Fantastic color on some of those.
Oh yeah, the color is so rich, and some of these cut gems are just gorgeous.
Now, that is my understanding is that's the state gemstone amethyst.
So the quartz is the state gemstone, but generally when people showcase it, they showcase the amethyst.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I've got a different case with more because there's also the state mineral, which is starlight. This is a cluster of some pretty lightly colored amethyst, but the way it's mounted, it's not together. But this cluster is actually one solid cluster. It's a puzzle that you
really
can put back together. This is from Oglethorpe. And then one of the things about our cases is we go through the various physiogeographic regions of Georgia and showcase the minerals that are found in each of them. This case showcases the coastal plain. We got those agatized corals here. And we mentioned earlier some kaolin from Georgia. Probably the prettiest piece of kaolin I've seen but kaolin is just a dusty pale. All it does is makes your papers nice and shiny.
Now, is it naturally stabilized like that, or does it degrade into a dust?
That's pretty stable. Yeah, if we mess around with it, it's pretty weak. It's really soft. But but that the kaolin is a byproduct of all the mud that settled on the ancient coastline in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
This is probably the biggest mineral industry in Georgia, and Georgia alone competes with large countries around the world with kaolin production.
Wow.
So
And what are the uses? What ceramics?
you
What
have
else?
ceramics. You have they refine that to make the aluminum ceramics. There's even some other kaolin areas in Georgia that make molite, which is a man-made product based off the high concentration of aluminum. That can be used in the ceramics for say even space shuttle tiles.
Interesting.
But that's just really where the money geologically has been in Georgia. There's other resources, but that for much of history has been with the kaolin. Another area is the Blue Ridge, which we are just next to here at Telus. We're in the Valiant Ridge, but we're right where the Valiant Ridge, Blue Ridge, and the Piedmont come together. So, you got your hog mine rose quartz, lots of really large schorls, just all sorts of incredible sizes of material and variation. Barrels aren't the prettiest, but there's some amazing colors, and very large.
Good size,
specimens.
yeah.
Can't forget Georgia gold, and we'll show some more Georgia gold in a second. But this is Georgia gold that's been in a collection from the Georgia Capitol collection.
Ain't that a peach? Sorry, just had to throw that in there.
So, and of course, there are other amethysts that come out of the Blue Ridge, because the Jackson Crossroad is a Piedmont material. And then, of course, here's some amazing kyanite.
Wow.
That's
It's not like the blue kyanite that we typically see out of Brazil, but the size of that's incredible.
It's got some. It is blue, but my camera picks up a lot of the yellow in the light here.
Okay.
So there is some blue there. That base is 6 inches wide.
Wow.
That it's sitting on. So, and then I've got over here just the variation in calcite that we have in various deposits in Georgia. We can show that in one case, and we have a few other cases that showcase the various minerals found throughout Georgia. Let me go ahead and show you all the Georgia gold. Here is one of our interactive displays that we actually have shut down. You just see the main one, the map going through the slideshow. So a lot of the touch material has been taken off exhibit because of COVID-19, and we have volunteers who go around and clean the few areas where touch can still happen. So this is Georgia gold that we have on exhibit. All of this material in the center is actually found just south of the museum in the county just south of us.
Wow.
But material from all over the northern area of Georgia. A mineral that's pretty common here in Bartow County is barite. So you see some stellar light blue barite and lots of fun shapes and occurrences there. So that's a kind of a local, not just for the state, but here for the museum. This is what Wyman was mining. They were mining the barite, and that's really what built up.
Oh, okay. So that's how it started. That's how they started, or how they were interested in mineral collecting.
Yeah. So the mining that had been going on for the last century in this area was that. Here's some of those Georgia starlites I mentioned. And another spot here, I've got a really large starlite on exhibit. I don't want to make you guys dizzy going over there.
Well, it's just Raquel.
Brian, I think that you have a nice picture of the starlight as well. If you don't see it well on the case, I'm just going to highlight your video.
Yeah, that one would be great for everyone to see. That is a beautiful piece, and it's big. I just got that recently on a donation in the last year. So it's here we have
from Jeff Scoville. And so where's the actual piece so that people
the piece
can
in our recent acquisitions? It'll probably end up in that case I just showed you with the Georgia State Minerals whenever we do some other adjustments. The Cumberland Plateau and the Valley and Ridge is the last little area here, highlighted with the minerals. Again, the barite part of that, hence the reason the barite is next to it. So once we go through the regional section of our collection, on exhibit we have kind of systematics. So an entire case of zeolite, the fun palette of those pastel pinks and greens and the light blue, all the different zeolite minerals from India.
Ryan, what's the size of your collection? Because you're really heavy on Georgia minerals. I wonder in general.
We have about 19,000 items in the collection. That's fossils, minerals, and other items. But the mineral collection, I'm actually doing a review to confirm the size of everything, but we have well over 10,000 lots. So some of those have multiple things, but the record of minerals in our database is over 10,000 for minerals. So here's just...
Ryan, what information do you have on the labels there?
So our labels, we like to showcase the name of the mineral, the mineral formula,
okay,
and then location, and often if it was donated, we'll have the donor, and we'll have the specimen number that we have assigned.
Nice.
So it's easy for people to learn about these minerals from that, and also to see how generous people have been to Telus. When you look through this case of these other classes here, the arsenates, the borates, the lignite, etc., good half of these were donations, and a lot of these were donations that came back during the Wyman days in this part of the collection. So continuing through the systematics, you've got carbonate and oxides, hydroxides, and sulfates, and we won't dwell on all the cases unless there's something you want to particularly see. So I want to show more of the stuff that we have back in collection. So just kind of showing you slowly just our cases here. Then some of these cases will be adjusting, like fluorites. I think we're going to give it a little bit more space.
Okay.
The halides, so we'll have more space for the fluorite. So we'll have more space for those. And over here where we've got our silicates, we'll probably take these rock-forming silicates one day and incorporate some of those into the silicates so that we can make some room for a native element case. Which when I get back to collections, I'll show you guys some of my recent acquisitions for that. This one axonite there. It's so dark you can't quite see anything with this side. Suvianite and neptunite right there. Chromium planosaur. All sorts of various things. And this is a mix of U.S., Georgia, and international minerals when you get into the systematic.
Okay.
So this is
Ryan, Gail Span is mentioning her favorite huge worm. Do you know what she's referring to?
Yes, I do, and I'm almost there because that's actually in our mineral properties section. So
Eloise, did I hear that correctly? Her favorite huge worm?
Yes, right here, this malachite worm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought she was referring to Jim, but hey, that malachite.
So
that's fantastic.
Alien worm. So that's just the fun specimen. And right behind it is a acquisition that I got a couple of years ago at Tucson Show.
Wow, that malachite looks like a lobster back also. We all have different ways of associating.
That does look like a lobster in a way. It just needs some claws.
And again, Julian is trying to take over Ryan. He's asking to show the spheres donated by Martin Zinn.
The spheres. Okay, let me walk over there. That case.
No, you might want to close your eyes.
Sorry, I've got to go back. I got to backtrack. So this whole collection of spheres.
Wow.
By Martin Zinn. So Marty.
When did Marty donate those?
Oh, that was probably early in the year in Tellus coming here. So that was, I don't know if this was here right when we opened or shortly thereafter. This is
And are those all the spheres that he donated, or do you have some hidden in the back
I think
room?
we have more in the back, and some of the bases to these that match the mineral.
Brian, this is great because I think many museums end up with so many of these spheres, but none of us exhibit it, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Great call.
Oh, here's that starlight. I didn't think I'd get over here, but there's that big starlight that I really love.
Right.
Yes, and by the way, someone was asking how big that was, and I answered 4.5 inches. Is that the correct answer?
Oh, it's actually 3.5 inches.
3.5. Thank you.
Yeah, the base that it's on is a 4-inch wide base, and so it's a pretty chunky piece. I know of one bigger starlight from Georgia, but that I've still got to talk to the owner.
But now size doesn't really matter, right? That's what I've been told. Sorry.
So over here is, I mentioned earlier, this is our periodic table. So it's great for the kids. This is probably one of the best interactives with families. Kids and parents will walk around here and just point to things and talk about things. I think it's a really fun.
I love it. I love it. This is so cool. Excellent.
Ryan, can you get a little bit closer so that we can see one of the elements?
Yeah, so what do you have inside? Do you have minerals or elements? What do you have?
So here, let's go. We're at the Tellus Science Museum, so let's look at tellurium.
Cool.
Oh, this is great.
Italian, selenium. We have so we have actually like bromine here. You've got the liquid in a vial. So if we can have the actual element there, it's there. We even have an old polonium brush.
Oh, that was a static brush that photographers used to use to brush their negatives so that dirt wouldn't or lint wouldn't cling to them.
So it's everything that if we have the element, we've got a piece of it and something that element's used in. And sometimes if it's something's named after someone, so here's a copy of a daguerreotype to kind of talk about the silver. So of course the radioactive elements, we don't have the dangerous ones, and the ones that only a few molecules have ever been made. But this table is updated to all of the latest elements. So oganesson and tennessine are on there, even though those were just named back in 2016. So it's a fun.
Ryan, that is fantastic. From the initial shot far away, I thought they were just backlit placards, but now I could see that they're little cubbies with
shadow boxes with everything
inside them.
So, and of course, you don't have an actual piece of potassium in there because you'd have to keep that in oil, and that's a fire hazard. So just a fake banana to give the idea. Now, where I am in the exhibit hall, we have behind me, is our entrance to our vault. As I adjust the camera, it doesn't. Yeah, our vault, and it goes around back there. We have temporary exhibits in the vault there, and we've had quite a number of temporary exhibits. And while we talk about those and some of the other events here, I'm going to turn off the camera because I want to walk through some other parts of the museum. But I think, Brian, you've got some pictures that I sent you.
Well, yeah, you have a thing called Rock Fest that you guys hold. I guess it's every year. Tell us about what the Rock Fest is.
So the Rock Fest is, we actually have dealers come to the museum. It's our own rock show, and so we have dealers inside and outside the museum.
That's great.
We actually have generally about 2,000 people a day come to the museum for the Rock Fest. We had to cancel this year's Rock Fest. That was in the middle of the COVID-19 shutdown, and actually we didn't get back to the museum till the week of when we would have had Rock Fest this year.
So what time of the year do you normally have the Rock Fest? About this, so it'd be, I don't know.
June every year.
March. I'm sorry, what?
It's the second weekend of June. It is it's generally pretty hot. But it's just an enjoyable time, and it's a time that we also have volunteers come and showcase various areas of lapidary and faceting. We auction off material from the collection that is that we don't need, so that we can use that funding to acquire more parts for the collection.
That sounds really cool. Now, what about these mineral symposiums that you have?
So that happens every March. And so the mineral symposium generally has various topics. Last year we had a meteorite themed symposium that matched up with one of our temporary exhibits. And this year we were going to have a symposium about fine mineral collecting, but that symposium had to be canceled. So, sorry.
Okay.
Now that I'm in collections, I can take my mask off. Sorry.
Oh, hey, there you are. That's your real look. Now, you also have these things, the heavy metal.
Heavy Metal in Motion is an event that we generally do in October. And so we actually sometimes get some various helicopters brought in. The military comes by, and people get to actually interact with these large vehicles.
And the kids can actually fly the helicopters. Is that correct?
No, not, but they can sit in there and imagine.
That is so cool. And you've got fire trucks here.
Yeah, so the local fire company brings their modern engine, and they even bring their the first fire engine that they have.
That is really cool. And there you've got a young girl calling in a 3-alarm fire as a prank.
Yeah.
That's funny for just a couple minutes.
So yeah,
and then we have now. So, I understand that's your typical office garb.
No, I don't wear that every day to work. That's at our we've had the Night at the Museum event, and so that's me dressed up portraying Alexander von Humboldt, and then we have just various people dressed up as various people from history, and we also have local cosplay people from various fantasy genres to come and just, it's a night that the families enjoy. We've done that in years past.
What is Night at the Museum? Do the kids get to sleep at the museum, or do they just come in for?
It's just a big party that evening, and it's something that we've done in years past. We didn't have it this year, of course, and there's questions on future years if we will get to have that again. But the kids get an autograph book, and they go around and find the various people from history or from various characters of different shows, and just get to enjoy. Everyone plays a part and has fun with it.
Well, that's fantastic. We all know that outreach and education is an important part that any museum plays. And so it's really refreshing to see such wonderful programs that you guys have on there. Really commend you.
So I've brought you back into collections, and you can see some stuff from prior exhibits. We had a Georgia stone exhibit kind of featuring the granite and marble. That's a big part of architectural history that is mined from Georgia. We even have material from our recent celebration of the lunar landing. We have recreated a 1960s living room, so you can see some of our accoutrements from that. And we have even old technology that was used for an exhibit we called World at Your Fingertips, kind of everything that's in the cell phone.
Oh, look at that old Watchman. That's so funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, all this stuff. And then, of course, Star-Lord wants his headphones back.
Hey, Ryan, I'm going to ask Eloise or Raquel to go ahead and launch the poll. That's about the right time, but why don't you continue with your tour?
Sure. Right here we have the logbook from the Georgia Capitol Collection.
Ryan, sorry, I have to interrupt you. You just have to press to close the poll on your screen. Yes.
There we go. So there's the this is the logbook from the state Capitol Collection. So it shows all the entries. There's stuff back into the late 1890s, the 1880s, and coming into the turn of the century. Wanted to showcase here some recent acquisitions. I talked about wanting wanting to do a native elements case. So here's some sulfur and silver and copper that I've gotten, and next to it is some arsenic and antimony and native lead that I've gotten for the collection. Some other just assorted minerals that I've recently acquired for the collection. Some dioptase, some plumbogummite, and some wavellite from Arkansas. And then here is barite collected in the field. A few years back, I think Julian might have been part of the crowd that collected this with Jose. We're sorting that out to see what's going to come into the collection. And then we got to collect with a couple of my colleagues here from Stone Mountain, Georgia. These tourmalines called cat's paws, because the tourmaline absorbs the iron, so the iron doesn't go into the biotite around it. So you end up with these kind of halos around the tourmaline.
Wow, that's wild.
And then here is this large garnet collected in the county just south of us, to the east of us in Pickens County. You can see the size of these crystals, these garnet crystals right there.
Wow.
I've got to clean that one up quite a bit, but those are just really stellar specimens there.
So Ryan, you say that you have to clean that one up. That means that you can do that at the museum. You have the tools to do that.
I have a prep lab to do some cleaning. That's in a separate building, but I can actually do that. Let me pause right here. I got to put on some gloves if you want me to handle any of these. I'm going to show you all some Georgia specimens. Just from this is from the systematic collection, and this is material that has been pulled out of our main collection to potentially be used for exhibit or for the traveling, like when I go to the Tucson or Denver shows and we do the cases. A lot of this material is among that we've kind of selected as better options for that. So just starting, we got just various forms of barite from the area. These really cool crystals here. I just thought this specimen here had such an incredible form.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's actually from Cartersville. So this is stuff right here. This blue barite is from Bartow County, which is here. And that's from the mines where they used to mine barite. Barite's not mined anymore here, and now it's just ochre and umber being mined. Only place in the U.S. doing that. Of course, we have a good collection of elmwood material from Tennessee, so there's some more barite with that calcite and fluorite on it. Here's just, you got to have some of the ugly minerals too. Some arsenopyrite.
Black uglies, we love them.
Melanterite, these are sulfate. This one's actually from Bartow County, which is the county we're in. And then this is some arsenopyrite from.
Ryan, you have beautiful boxes here. That's the curator talking here. I know that we have collectors as well that are always inquiring, how do you keep minerals? And I see that you have boxes, at the end you have things to protect the minerals underneath, and you have labels. So yes. What are those? What do you have on the labels?
So the labels we track our specimen numbers. We have what we identified them, like generally minerals have an assemblage, but the main mineral that we're featuring from that specimen, in our database we'll note what else is with it. We'll put if it's got a variety, we'll mark that on there. The class of the mineral, so carbonates here, and then also the locality. There's much more information that we keep in the database, but this is kind of where we do that. We use Past Perfect, but there's a few other programs out there that other places use. Some people just use an Excel file or even an Access file if they want to do a bit more. These metal edge boxes. Those are also acid-free material, so archival quality. And then this is a foam that we have underneath here. These heavier specimens get a 1/4-inch foam. Other things get an 1/8-inch foam.
Great, and then they're stored on inside drawers, I guess, or cabinets.
Have the cabinet, but also aside from the cabinets, I've got shelves with boxes of the same archival quality trays inside, bigger trays to hold the material. Those don't get these smaller trays because they're in trays that fit in those boxes, and we have shelves upon shelves of those boxes with more material. So
Absolutely.
Today you're getting to see some of the cream of the crop here. So
That's
various
really cool.
This is more calcite from Cumberland Mine in Tennessee. So Cumberland and Elmwood, so that whole region there. And so some other just assortments of calcite from Georgia. This is from Pickens County, but I think that also must be from the New York mine, which is it's just beautiful piece of calcite there. So it's almost as clear as Iceland spar.
Wonderful.
Beautiful stuff. Some more calcite from the county to the west of us, Floyd County. We got some reticulated rutile here from, this is from North Carolina. So hiddenite, these reticulated rutiles.
Ryan,
yes.
Sorry, how did you get into mineralogy? We didn't ask you anything about you. I'm curious.
Well, actually, I'm a paleontologist, and I did some mineral research as an undergrad and have always just been interested in it and kept myself, at least with the basics. And so when I got the job here, not only do I take care of the mineral collection, I take care of the fossil collection and work to acquire more stuff for that. And I do field work with colleagues here to collect more for both collections. So today we're just really focusing on the minerals because this is not Fossil Talks Live. So
that's our next show.
Sign me up.
Not me. I used
You're
to
the
hate.
host.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have rutile here, more rutile from Graves Mountain, just some nice big chunks. They're not as pretty as some of the stuff that's on exhibit, but it's still representative of what's found there. More Georgia material. You got the Salamalane again from Bartow County. We've got some pyrolusite also from Cartersville. So there's been a lot of iron oxides and manganese that also part of the mining history of this area. So we've got some of these fun things. Here's some limonite pseudomorphs after pyrite from the area. So we've got a lot of interesting mineralogy just from this area, but we have stuff from all over the state. This is some goethite. I believe that's Burke County. That's a fun, but actually it doesn't show up as well. Let me see here. We've got more. This is from Alabama. So we have the regional aspect of the collection as well as the Georgia aspect here. But I'm just showcasing really all these cases have stuff from all over the world. But I was pulling out for the viewers the Georgia and regional material that we have, like this awesome Elmwood fluorite here on the sphalerite.
That's great.
Yeah, we get better light.
And Ryan, at the same time, I have more questions coming in. I have two questions that are pretty much the same related to your mineral identification. It looks like you offer that on the website. You can see some rocks. So how do you do that? Do you do that on site? And what kind of equipment do you have?
Our IDs are really extend to just your basic, what can you do with hand sample, with hardness and what you can observe on it. I don't have any testing equipment beyond that. If anyone wants to donate a XRF to me that actually works, we can do that.
Yeah, the Raman spectrometer as well, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we would all love those, right? Every museum wants one, right?
Yes, I want one as well. Sign me in for the Raman.
And right here is some more of the lazulite from Graves Mountain.
Oh, yes, you had a beautiful one. I saw that you had a beautiful crystal.
Still on exhibit, but you see these same, octahedral
nice
pyramids, and little smaller
That's
ones.
right.
But
Ryan, what is the museum's policy in terms of exhibition? Do you guys always bring things to the Tucson and Denver shows?
that
Shows?
us bringing that material, it justifies my going. It's part of our outreach. Yes, I'm going to acquire some stuff to the museum. I do shop, but there's part of it is that outreach to share what we have. So here, just kind of hitting kind of the Georgia quartz and amethyst. This is all material from Georgia right here. So just a variety of things. You get some rich colors here. This is probably some of the darkest Jackson Crossroad material. And here's more Jackson Crossroad material right here. And then we're just these incredible angled agates here from Upson County. And then we got, this is a really fun smoky quartz. It looks like it's got some hematite inclusions in it. It's almost like it's just filled with glitter. It's just beautiful from Forsyth County.
Ryan, you really took a lot of time taking a lot of those things out.
So
It's
I'm almost
nice.
done here.
Thank you so much. That's a real treat. I really recognize the work that it was to put all of those things and to gather them for us. So thank you. That's great. I'm curious. Can you just open one drawer that is that is not well arranged, because just to show that maybe it's a mess inside your collection like mine.
Are you praying that it's a bit of a mess?
Perfect and organized.
Here, let's look at some Mexico stuff here. So this is just, there's the rock crystal from Georgia. A lot of that stuff that I pulled out goes into this drawer.
Nice. Okay.
So here's some international quartz. Let me see. Brazil and Canada amethyst.
It is meticulous.
Nice cabinets. I'm very jealous.
So
things about new collections, like in old museums, you have those old drawers that you don't really control, but the newer collections are so nice and tidy. And I know that Raquel did a lot of great job at her museum to actually buy those cabinets to store the minerals properly. So that's a real treat. That's very nice.
Let me get this camera around where it needs to go. I'm trying to. Sorry, losing track on. So I've got these boxes here, and I've got trays with the bigger specimens.
Wow. Big specimens indeed.
Yeah, so that's the much larger specimens. And so we have other material on these larger trays. So
fantastic.
So, and then you come further back, and we got stuff all in the boxes. I really like this Raven County, Georgia quartz here with this fun crystal.
Nice.
So these trays are so big.
We're just 1 hour pretty much into the show as well, Brian. So we might want to ask Ryan some quick questions. No?
Yeah. Do we have any Q&A questions that haven't been addressed by that have been submitted by the audience?
Well, we answered a lot already, I think.
Okay.
And, people are really jealous of storage specimens. I see a lot of curators really jealous of storage specimens.
Such as yourself.
But other than that, I think that maybe if Ryan has a few minutes afterwards, I think that would be great, like to stay tuned for a few more questions. People, that's the time. If you have any Q&A, just ask them and we'll answer afterwards. I think that would be perfect.
Okay, so then Ryan, we're going to switch to our 10 quick-fire questions segment of the show. This is where I'm going to ask you 10 questions. Each question has a or B answer, and without much thinking, you just have to respond from the gut. These are the same questions that all the watchers, the viewers have already answered, so we're going to see how close their answers match up with yours. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let me switch to where you can see me.
Perfect. Okay, question number 1, Game of Thrones or The Witcher?
I have not seen neither of them.
You got to pick one. Which sounds more fun?
I'm more intrigued to know what The Witcher is.
Okay, good. The Witcher. Doctor Who or Doctor Strange?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'll go with Dr. Strange.
Dr. Strange. Okay. Is it pronounced crick or creek?
Depending on which relatives I'm visiting.
How do you pronounce it?
Creek.
Creek. Okay. Pepsi or Coke?
Oh, Coke.
Coke all the way.
Caffeine free.
There you go. Are you a little bit country or a little bit rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. A real book or a Kindle?
A real book.
Real book. Mac or PC?
PC.
PC. AC or a fan?
AC.
AC. Moon or Mars?
Moon.
Moon. And the last one, taste great or less filling?
Tastes great.
Taste great. Okay. Let's go through and see what our viewers have answered. Eloise, Raquel, number 1, Game of Thrones or Witcher?
I'm just going to ask Ryan first to close the sharing pool results so we can see him live. Perfect. Okay. I'm on, so go ahead. So Game of Thrones or Witcher? People answer Game of Thrones. So
Game of Thrones. So that's one of those. Doctor Who or Doctor Strange?
wrong answer again. Doctor Who.
Ooh. Crick or creek?
Creek.
Creek.
Things right. Creek.
Creek. Pepsi or Coke?
Coke. Got it right.
Right on. A little bit country or a little bit rock and roll?
A little bit of rock and roll. Got it right.
Yay. A real book or a Kindle?
Real book. Right answer.
Fantastic. Mac
Doing
or
well,
PC?
doing well. PC. Doing really well. Doing really well.
Right on. AC or a fan?
AC.
Ooh, they're just rocking these. Moon or Mars? That's a tough.
Okay, I have an issue here. I have got 50-50.
50-50. Okay, we're going to give it to them then.
I split the vote.
Okay. Tastes great or less filling?
Taste great.
Tastes great. That is fantastic. Congratulations, viewers of Mineral Talks Live. What we're going to give you today is we are giving you a free copy of What's Hot in Tucson 2020. But since this is our 10th show, we're only giving away 10 copies of these. Please, if you already have one of the codes from like the Mineralogical record, please don't use this code. But if you don't and you'd like to watch the show, this is 12 and a half hours of interviews and mineral porn from this year's Tucson show. Go to the URL vimeo.com/on-demand/WHIT20. Put the program into your cart. Go to the checkout. Enter the coupon code MTL Rocks. That's Mineral Talks Live Rocks. And go ahead and enjoy the program. And that is pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show today. Ryan, we want to thank you so much for really taking the time to do this interview and really for all the time that you did behind the scenes, pulling all those specimens out so that you could share it with us. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
My pleasure.
Maybe we can take if you have a few times. I know it's a good time to say bye to people, but if for those who can stay tuned and we can still answer the questions, maybe Raquel, I know that I've been really talkative and then Raquel has not been talkative, so I'm going to leave for her. Ryan, just a quick question that I saw not on the Q&A.
Eloise,
Do you have any meteorites?
Eloise,
Yes.
let me interrupt you for a quick second. For those that have to tune out and get back to work, let me just make 2 quick announcements, and then we'll just go into the additional questions. Check the YouTube channel for BlueCap Productions. Tomorrow we're going to be releasing episode 6, and that was originally aired on July 8th, and that was our interview with Deanna and Ian Bruce from Crystal Classics UK. That will go live tomorrow, and there's the URL at the bottom of the screen. Also, we're going to be promoting that on Instagram and Facebook. And also, don't forget to tune in to our program next week, August 12th. where we're going to sit down with mineral collector Bill Larson from Fallbrook, California, and have a great little chat with him. So you can register for that program a little bit later today, and we hope to see you next week. So thank you for your time. And now, Ryan, if you have a little bit of time to hang out with us, Eloise, go ahead and fire away some new questions to him, please.
Carolyn M. from Harvard Museum had a question about meteorites. Do you have any others than the one that you showed us, the Cartersville meteorites?
Oh, yeah. I actually went right past our meteorites that we have on exhibit, and also in collections, I have a couple of drawers of meteorites. I actually recently got a donation of 27 meteorites from the southeast. We have meteorites all over, and in our exhibit hall, we actually have Compass Yellow and a lot of the other big name meteorites. We also showcase Georgia meteorite, which I think I included a couple of pictures of those, the stuff I sent you. The Keysville is the most recent find in Georgia, and also the Claxton meteorite. We have a slice of that. So we have a few Georgia meteorites, Georgia-ite, and some other tektite also on. We have some.
Ryan, we cannot hear you. I cannot hear you well anymore. Maybe.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. It was before the microphone was shoved underneath the mask, so it kept it close near my mouth.
So Ryan,
thank you, Ryan. That was my question. Thanks.
Yeah, this is one of the photos you sent us. Could you tell us about this?
That's Keysville meteorite. It's the most recent find in Georgia. It was actually found by a man who was out just with a I think he had a metal detector. He was out with his grandkids, and they found that in a wash in a river out near Augusta, Georgia. So that's just a recent find. We got a slice of that from the person who purchased it from him, and then we also have the another meteorite that I sent you a picture of. It's the slice of Claxton meteorite. But there's other meteorites from Georgia that we have, and then let me see. I can go back to the drawer here. Let me pull out the drawer if you want to see some of this material.
Oh, yeah.
So let me switch. So we got meteorites in here. So meteorites from all over this is southeastern meteorites, and then we got a Compass Yellow piece right here.
Nice.
We have a bigger Compass Yellow on exhibit that people can touch. So let me see, what else do we have? A few other meteorite pieces here. I actually have a lunar meteorite on a touch piece that we took off of a former exhibit, but hopefully I can put it with the lunar rock that we have on loan from NASA. But I have a lunar meteorite here with a little spot that people can actually touch it. So we're going to hopefully get that back. Any other questions?
Oops, sorry, Eloise, you were doing great. I love to be behind the scenes. So, for once I'm quiet. Yeah, someone, Dimitri, was interested in some of the starlight if they were untwinned.
Yeah, so here's the starlight that we have from some stuff I pulled out from Georgia. Twinned material, and some here's that's just straight up, just single crystals, no twins. So that you can find that also plentifully. Everyone wants to collect the twinned material. They want the crosses and such. So
very nice.
But the untwinned material is also pretty cool.
Ryan, Peter Davis, I have a question about how do you store your collection? Do you do that systematically?
So we have this stuff that I've shown in these drawers is systematically. The rest of the material is often systematically within boxes that are within a group. But the boxes themselves on the shelves are just wherever we have an open space. I think initially there was some keep fossils over here, keep this stuff over there. But over time, as things change and as the box doesn't get used anymore, gaps open up, and so it's just kind of filling in the spaces.
Nice one. And do you have any a portion of the collection online so people can search for the specimens?
No, we don't have anything online. That's not something that we've done. In fact, as we go through stuff, we're still digitizing some things, but a lot of it is in the database. But some don't have pictures, and part of my job is, as I go through, is to get those pictures put into our database.
I see. And how do you spend your time as a curator of and finishing your PhD and going between the paleontology and the mineralogical collection? How is kind of your day?
So I've actually taken let me get this camera. So my day is organized. Actually, the whole week is organized with different roles that I do during the week. A lot of times I spend my Mondays doing any research that I need to do on stuff in the collection, answering any questions and dealing with potential loans, and then that's what my Tuesdays kind of phase into renewing loans and pursuing those potential loans. I spend a lot of my Wednesdays and Thursdays dealing with actual managing the collection, getting stuff into the database, photographing things, measuring things, dealing with all of that. And actually there's a backlog of material in a holding cabinet that I need to ID, to make repairs on, and then deal, and also the stuff that's being held to go into the collection committee. So I work on that paperwork meeting for the next collection committee. And then I also have time that I take. Generally, my Friday mornings, I'll go into the prep lab and I'll get to play around with stuff. It's like put all the paperwork aside except for documenting what I'm doing, and go into the prep lab. And then by the time you get to Friday afternoon, you're pretty tired. So I use that as my day to read. I'll pull out a MinRec or other mineral magazine or whatever I'm researching with fossils. So I'll search through all that to read. So throughout the week, I just kind of rotate between those roles that I play here as a curator, and so I stay on top of all those different areas. And my day starts, though, working on my dissertation. They're very kind here at the museum, letting me use some of my time to finish that research, and then I move into my job all day.
Sorry, my mic was off. That was pretty scheduled. That's great. Do you have any volunteers that helps you with the museum work?
Volunteers. We have volunteers that work in collections with me that help me catalog. We have volunteers that work with the education department and all the other departments here. Right now, because of COVID-19, volunteers are not coming into the museum. So I haven't seen my volunteers since March. So a lot of the stuff that I actually would have their assistants doing, I'm doing. So I'm trying to inventory some potential loans and get that ready for a collection committee. And that would have been something that I could have given a volunteer. Here's a box of stuff someone donated, write out what's in it, and then give me that Excel spreadsheet. And that's what I would put onto my committee paperwork. I'm doing that now. And likewise, cataloging the material. Once I put it in the computer and given it a number, I used to be able to hand that to volunteers and they would photograph it, measure it, put it all in the computer. I would just double check what they did. And again, that's stuff that I now have to do.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Bob Morgan from Savannah. I noticed a quartz twin or two quartz crystals together next to the big barrel up in your case. And I was wondering where it's from. And it looked to me like it might be a Griesenthal quartz twin, which is a very rare twin law.
In the case that we looked at in the exhibit hall?
Yes.
I'd have to go back and look at that. You're welcome to email me, and I can give you the definitive answer on that.
The way to test it is you have parallel pyramidal faces on the outside of the twin.
Okay. I'll have to go look at that. I didn't observe that. It'll be really interesting to look at.
Thank you, Bob. And I think probably last question quickly before we go. Are there any of your meteorites chemically analyzed?
The one that was the Cartersville meteorite. When we got that, we sent a slice off to the Smithsonian, so they kept that 20 gram specimen, and 20 grams. And so they have that slice at the Smithsonian, and they gave us the analysis. The other meteorites are slices of known material, and so the information I get on that is off of the Meteorological Society website. If it is this named meteorite, that's the data I have. Any further testing out of patent.
Cool. Brian, I think this is it from our side. Back to you.
Yeah, well, Ryan, thank you again for everything that you did today, and a special thanks for staying late and answering some of the questions. For the viewers out there, remember next week, Bill Larson, and I forgot to mention that this Friday is actually a Happy Hour on the Rocks Friday. So if you're free this Friday, we're going to make the announcement on Facebook and Instagram. Please join us on Friday. We're just going to sit around, chat, and share stories with each other. So, Ryan, thank you. Awesome job. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. We love the tour. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. It's good to see you all.
We hope that we can visit you soon. That's the only. But stay safe.